Hi, this is Stephanie Miller from The Stephanie Miller Show. Please enjoy this exclusive clip from my show on Political Voices Network. Oh, speaking of Barr, as in Bill Barr, let's talk about what we heard this week from Lev Parnas
Yeah.
in this just clown car, that the Republicans keep putting on. Lindy Lee summed it up. She joins us next week. Bill Barr tried to destroy Lev Parnas to protect Trump. He lied about the Mueller report to protect Trump. He shielded Kavanaugh from a real investigation to protect Trump. He weaponized the DOJ against E. Jean Carroll to protect Trump. Media, stop rehabilitating this criminal. I always come back to this about Bill Barr and about what everything Lev Parnas just. What was your reaction this week?
Yeah, so Steph, do we see the pattern that has emerged? Think about Lev Parnas, Igor Fruman, and Rudy Giuliani, right? That three-headed cabal that was, over in Ukraine, essentially, funneling Russian disinformation to the United States so that it could be used to damage Joe Biden. Um, think about the fact that Lev and Igor, and I think it would be a great movie title, Lev and Igor's Excellent Adventure. Lev and Igor go to prison. Rudy Giuliani is not held accountable at all. Think about Michael Cohen, who's in a conspiracy with Donald Trump to interfere with the 2016 election by paying hush money and then committing felony business records fraud to cover it up. Michael Cohen goes to prison. Donald Trump not a minute of accountability. There's also the parallel with all of the boots of the insurrection, the guys and the gals that Donald Trump said, go attack the Capitol and stop the certification, going to prison, and Donald Trump and the entire hierarchy of
Yeah.
the insurrection having no accountability. There seems to be a pattern emerging here.
Real quick, way long. Attorney General Merrick Garland says it would have been absurd to block special counsel's language on Biden's memory. Really? Your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I disagree with him. If there's something that is objectively unfair or inaccurate, I don't think the AG has no authority to just spew it into the public square. And when Robert Hur doesn't put in his report what we found in the transcript telling Joe Biden, you have photographic recall of the House, that doesn't make it into the report. But, oh, he's old and forgetful makes it
Yeah.
into the report. That's unfair, objectively unfair.
State prosecutors should turn to the other one. State prosecutors in New York said Thursday fewer than 300 of the over 170,000 documents recently turned over to lawyers for Trump are potentially relevant to his criminal defense, and their case alleging falsified business records should proceed to trial on April 15th. It says most of the 270 documents are corroborative of existing evidence. So your friend Norm Eisen said, I've just done a first pass through all 9 filings that were released today in the Manhattan Trump criminal case. I've seen enough. SDNY's last-minute document dump is not going to significantly slow this trial. I'm booking my hotel room for April. What say you, sir?
Yeah, Norm is right. And my 3 favorite words, I poured through the Alvin Bragg filings as well. My 3 favorite words: enough is enough. Enough with the Trump delays. Yes, there were some documents that were provided late in the game. That was in part due to Donald Trump's lawyers subpoenaing those documents from the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney's Office. They got them late. And yes, Alvin Bragg's office have been asking for these documents for more than a year. They got some late. They turned them over. And it's basically duplicative of stuff that Trump and his lawyers already have. Plus, most of it is incriminating, inculpatory. That's what's in the Bragg motion. So he said, enough is enough. Enough with the delays. April 25th ought to be the date we get this justice show on the road. Let's go.
Yeah, yeah. So, one other Norm Eisen, or this is Norm Ornstein, sorry, talked about Judge Cannon. Her removal from this case and from the judiciary and her disbarment cannot come soon enough. I mean, there's been a lot said about this latest, the words just wacky used about, her rulings. But, I know our friend Harry Littman wrote a piece in LA Times about that. She seems to have protected herself enough. So what are Jack Smith's options for any of that, Glenn? Removal,
Yes.
recusal?
Right now, Steph, the recusal bucket is overflowing, and it's past time that Jack Smith empty that bucket into the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals, and let's litigate this issue in the full light of day, and then we'll live with the opinion of the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals. But remember, that's the same court that ruled previously that Judge Aileen Cannon abused her judicial discretion, did something the law does not allow to the extreme benefit of Donald Trump, and she, quote, interfered with an ongoing DOJ investigation into the classified documents that were seized from Mar-a-Lago. I do, as a footnote, Steph, this old prosecutor finds it curious that he's thinking about selling Mar-a-Lago to satisfy his civil fraud judgment.
Yeah.
And that would be letting the defendant sell the crime scene to satisfy a massive civil fraud judgment only in America.
Wow. I didn't even think of that, Glenn.
But it's
You're
also
right.
his home. Would he really sell his home?
I don't.
First?
I like the whole, sorry, let me get my Creek scenario.
Yeah.
Feds just come in, take everything, including Moira's wigs. Glenn, yeah, that's it. There are so many layers of this that just are so unbelievable. But I thought it was interesting. His former lawyer, Ty Cobb, talked about Judge Cannon, saying this is a remarkable misunderstanding of applicable law. It's embarrassing. She's been struggling so dramatically in this case since the start, when she butchered the special master decision and the 11th Circuit took her to task for it. This is a totally baffling position. The theory that Trump has the ability to designate classified material as personal records is absurd on its face. There's no legal support for that, but she's put Jack Smith in a position of trying to draft jury instructions in advance that would posit that question to the jury. I think it's such a fundamental error. He said her rulings provide basis for seeking her recusal, but the 11th Circuit would have to agree to grant this request, as you just said.
Yeah, Steph, let me just say, when
yeah.
I read these two proposed jury instructions, what everybody should know is, first of all, when you firm up jury instructions after the trial has concluded admitting the evidence, because only then do you know what instructions of law will apply to the evidence that's been admitted. We don't even have a trial date. And she proposes two jury instructions that, in essence, direct the jury to find him not guilty. These are not accurate recitations of the law in these proposed jury instructions. These are being proposed by somebody who is de facto Donald Trump's defense attorney, his ally.
Yeah.
That's why at some point you have to make the motion to recuse.
Yeah.
Because if we look back and she dismisses it with prejudice, which means it can't be appealed and he can't be tried again, everybody's going to be kicking themselves. Why didn't they file a motion to recuse? You've got to file that motion.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I know it's sort of like, funny, not funny, when, people are like, well, she's the best lawyer on Trump's team. I'll give her that. Can't Judge Cannon. I mean, it's so, yeah. Ty Cobb said a month ago she ordered the identities of witnesses to be disclosed, and Jack Smith pointed out to her that was not allowable. It's really remarkable, some of the things she's done that are just fundamentally unhinged. She hasn't announced a trial date, obviously. He said she will announce a trial date at some point. I don't think she has any intention of letting this case come to trial, obviously, before the election. To her credit, it's not the only case she's made fundamental errors in. She could merely be incompetent. Well, like everybody in Trump world, is it incompetence, malfeasance, or both? Right?
Yeah, I think it's incompetence, and I think it's bias, right? You can't say that, okay, she's just incompetent when every single incompetent move she makes works to Donald Trump's advantage. It becomes more than just incompetence. So, again, time to make the motion. The law says if a judge's impartiality might reasonably be questioned, they shall recuse themselves from the case. Fairly low bar. And, let's get this motion filed.